100 Thieves, after a disappointing top 6 finish at Miami, I'm sure are still sitting as the favorites in a lot of people's minds when it comes down to their hopes for world championships. The pool they're in looks pretty achievable, and beyond that, they're still one of the more consistent team across every single game mode, and more importantly, a very wide variety of maps. Check out to see what I think about 100 Thieves and where they might finish off for this world championships coming up. COD fans, what up? I'm trying to fix my chair. Gosh, it's not getting all the way in there. Here we go. IHOLDSHIFT, welcome back, guys. Good to see you. We're all comfortable. We're all set in. We're ready to go. We're ready to talk 100 Thieves in pool numero F, which is not a numero, but pool F is what we're coming down to here. And it's going to be a very interesting one. I think that as you take a look at the pool as a whole, your thoughts are just right in that 100 Thieves should not have a problem here. And I think that mostly you'd be thinking that's 100% correct. They should not have a problem here. Now, we do have to consider that the squad did only finish top 6 at Miami without having gone to a boot camp. Did that affect them? Hard to really say. Again, if you go back to cross-divisional, they didn't get a chance to play on the SOG buff with it being hit scan. So maybe there was some unfamiliarity there. Who knows? It's all speculation. What we do know is what's in their pool. They've got Midnight Esports, Sicario Gaming, and Fury Gaming. And honestly, again, this is a pool that you think that, okay, 100 Thieves, you have no problem getting through this. But you have to keep in mind that when they played Midnight, it did not go all that great. In fact, when they did play Midnight, it happened just after Fort Worth, and 100 Thieves lost to this team. That was one of like 3 losses in about a 3-month period of time that 100 Thieves lost. It was a very close set, for the most part, with the exception of the Search and Destroy, which is where Midnight really rolled over them. It was a 1-6 on Arsenal Search and a 2-6 on Payload Search. Now, that was a long time ago, so we can kind of throw that out, and we can look just back at what this team was able to do at Miami. But before we do that, let's look a little bit further back and take a look at this roster as a whole as far as what their placements have been. This is a team that went 38-10 overall this year. Pretty impressive. 125 map wins to 55 map losses. It's insane. It's an insane total, to be completely honest with you. And of course, that was good enough only for second place in Division B, which seems strange that that's the case, but that isn't 100% what happened. So going back to Vegas, it was a top 12. They had to go through the PLQ. They get qualified just barely. Then they make those swaps. It's a 4th place at Fort Worth, the back-to-back at London and Anaheim, and then the top 6 at Miami. So an interesting journey for 100 Thieves so far this year, and a lot of question marks at the beginning of the year, obviously followed up with a lot of promise following in London and Anaheim, and then maybe a little bit of an eyebrow raiser at Miami. But you take a look at this team's statistics as a whole, and I don't know where you play this team against, to be honest, because every single one of their hardpoints looks incredible. The only map that they're bad at hardpoint is Seaside. They've only played it a total of 7 times, and they're 4-3 on the map. However, their average on that map is still actually a positive average when it comes down to how they've been able to perform on this map as a whole. That's insane to see. Again, they are technically on average 241 to 187 on the map, which means that their losses have been narrow losses and their wins have been blowouts. They're 15-5 on Arsenal. That's the map that you didn't want to play them on really all the way through Fort Worth. Then they're 13-3 on Frequency. They're 17-3 on Hacienda. They're 10-2 on Gridlock. Again, this team is literally so dynamic and so diverse. It's really hard to know where you're going to play them. Search and Destroy is where this team has been at their weakest, but even still, it's hard to say that they're weak there because they're 32-25 with a 4.77 average for them, only giving up 4.44. And again, the worst maps that they have, 5-5 on Frequency, 5-6 on Gridlock, 7-6 on Payload. They are 6-3 on Hacienda, and 9-5 on Arsenal. So again, it's just this team is so versatile behind everything that they play. It just really goes to show that Crowder is doing a really nice job of keeping this team rehearsed on everything. Same storyline when it comes down to Control. The only map that they're not really super rehearsed at is Seaside, where they've only played it 3 times, but they played Optic there and beat them 3-1 just at Miami. So, again, they're staying well rehearsed on every single map. 13-5 on Arsenal, 9-2 on Frequency, 10-6 on Gridlock. I mean, you just can't play this team anywhere. The only thing you have to kind of hope for when you're playing up against this squad is you just catch them on an off day, or you're doing a really nice job of keeping the front line and the SOG line absolutely shut down. That's kind of what happened when they were back at Miami. Enable had a really, really rough start to it. Started to warm up late, but it was too late for them to really get things fully going as they lost to Gen G in the losers bracket. So It's just interesting, I think, just generally speaking, that 100 Thieves didn't do better than we saw them do. Again, the first loss to FaZe was pretty ugly. The Search and Destroy was not fun to watch. 1-6 was that total on Arsenal. But everything else was close. 219, 250 in the hard point, 2-3 on the control. And that's kind of been the storyline for a lot of this season for 100 Thieves. If you're going to beat them, you have to steal a respawn, and you have to win both Search and Destroys. That's really the only way that they lose. I'm going back through it right now. Outside of that 0-3 loss, the most recent loss they had was after Anaheim. It was a 2-3 loss to Evil Geniuses, in which they lost both Search and Destroys. You go back further than that, it was E United who beat them. It was a 3-0 there, but it was a 4-6 on the Search, a 1-3 on the control, and a 131-250 on the hard point. You go back before that, it's Optic at London, where again, Optic was able to take they took a very close hard point. They were able to take a close control, and they beat them in Search and Destroy. You're seeing a trend here. Midnight also beat them twice, Search and Destroy in Game 5. And then past that, the other 2 times that they've lost has been E United, where they lost both Search and Destroys. So you have to beat them in Search and Destroy, and you have to be able to take, hopefully, you have to be able to take at least one respawn away from them if you want to have a way to beat these guys. You have to be perfect at Search and Destroy. And let's be honest, I figured that you got to think 100 Thieves knows that that's where their weakest at. You have to know that they're going to start really practicing it, rehearsing it, and getting themselves ready to go. It's just everything that favors this team so widely. It's hard to pick out statistics in which they're going to fail at, because they're just so strong everywhere that they play. So I think that this team is a major competitor, not only for the pool, obviously, but for a world championship, just because of how versatile they are and how fluctuating they can be between not only different types of modes, but also different types of maps. You take a look at Octane in specific. He's been an absolute all-star for this team. 132 average rating from codstats.gg and a 1.17 rating. Both of those are averages from the time at the Pro League. Again, you just take a look back at this squad as a whole and where they're going to be in the pool. They should have no problem with Midnight this time around. Sicario could give them a fight, but again, just the raw experience and coordination that a team like 100 Thieves has, you can't fear they're going to lose to a team like Sicario. And again, copy pasta that to Fury. You just can't see an instance where that's going to be the case. I can't see them losing. I really cannot see them losing. And then you get into the actual top teams beyond that. Again, it has to come down to FaZe, United, Gen G, Optic, Luminosity. They have to take at least one respawn, hopefully 2, and a Search and Destroy, if not both. I mean, again, the ask is very tall here to get through 100 Thieves, and I'm not feeling very confident that many teams are going to be able to beat them. This is my front runner personally to win the championship this year. Again, mostly just based off the statistics alone. There's just not many vulnerabilities whatsoever. The only vulnerabilities they have is when they drop 2 Search and Destroys in a set to somebody. That's what it really comes down to. And can you really imagine that's going to happen again? I mean, they've only lost a handful of times all year long. So it's tough. It's tough to find a way for this team to lose, I think, when it comes down to, again, we went through all 10 of their losses and we saw the storyline in front of us. You have to win both Search and Destroys and steal a hard point or a control. That's what it comes down to. So that's kind of my predictions for 100 Thieves. A little bit of a shorter one here. Didn't get a chance to set anybody up for an interview. Coming up next, we'll be talking about Midnight, and we've got Sicario and Fury to finish things off for Pool F. We're digging right through, so again, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you guys subscribe and ring that notification bell to know when my videos do pop up. And until the next one, hope you all keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.